Daryl!
G'day, how you going?
You're on the
Eddie?
video I'm warning you now. This is Daryl McCulloch, Llewellyn Bicycles, back again.
Yes.
The stalwart of the Australian frame building scene and steam engine scene.
Yes,
We're going to talk about that later. Let's pop over to your stand.
Right, yeah.
Come show us what you got, what you brought.
What have I brought?
Well,
this
last year you had the lugged Colossus
That's
rim
exactly
brake
right.
road racing machine.
This year-
What's the feature bike this year, Daz?
Discus Colossus.
Discus Colossus.
This is Colossus,
Yes.
virtually in its original form, which was the lugless Philip Ray's construction. But this one's Discus. This stuff.
Now, would it be fair to say you're a bit of a late adapter to the? Were you a resistant to the discs, or what were your initial thoughts on building disc brakes? You come from a massive heritage of rim racing, Australian cycling. Obviously, this is a very modern interpretation of the road racing bicycle. What were the challenges?
At this moment in time, the disc brake scene is not yet well thought out or fully designed.
Okay.
It's got a lot of evolution to go.
Yep.
The through axle system, it's clunky, it sort of works. So it'd be interesting to see where it is in 10 years' time. I don't think it, and that's why I was a bit hesitant, because I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon making stuff that was just going to evolve and change.
Yeah.
One of the problems I think now is the frame millers now are making their frames to fit the bike parts, not the bike parts fitting the frames, and I think that's a wee problem. But there are some issues with it that you can see that they're trying to iron out. So I was sort of reluctant. I had a disc brake bike here last year, a cyclocross bike. But this one I spent a lot of time this summer with new jigging, new tooling. There's even pictures of some of the jigging here that I built for doing disc brake bike production accurately in the manner I like to do it in. Not like, this is what everyone. So I spend a lot of time making new tooling and jigs. It's hard because you don't work for 2 months. You're not earning an income
Right.
when you're tooling up for one pair of hands. That's hard.
Yes.
So that's why I was hesitant, because when I was going to do it, I had to plan over a 2-year period when and how I was going to do it, get all that product together in my mind, and then execute it.
Now we
Now we got the PA going.
Hang on. Let's just. As you were, Daryl.
So I had to plan it, and that's why I was somewhat reluctant. There are disadvantages of this that aren't always discussed. Like
Tell me one.
the rigid front fork
Okay.
for the disc. The ride qualities deteriorates with that.
Could you
Well,
argue that's offset by the larger tyres,
Yes.
bigger volumes?
Yes.
I mean, you're talking to a very massive disc fan, so
I'm into disc. Oh, look, I can understand the function of the disc.
you don't have a rim brake on your motor vehicle, do you?
Yeah, that's true. But a rim brake is a disc. It's just different.
It's true. It is a massive
rotor.
disc.
It's a big
Yeah,
rotor.
that's true.
So, look, I don't have that problem. I find wheel changing and all that sort of thing from my background.
Yes.
Like,
Which we're seeing in the Pro Tours now because it's changed,
electric
right?
tools to take the, to a wheel.
It will evolve, but I think you're right. It
You're
will
right.
take time. It will take time.
Yeah, we have not seen what the final thing is.
Because we should also preface this as saying you have worked as a support mechanic at a very high level with some of the world's best professionals in very time-critical moments where wheel changing, the difference between a speedy and a poor wheel change is the race, right?
The last 20 kilometres of the last stage of Tour of Slovakia in 2009, Lee Howard had to beat a particular chap by 2 placings to win the overall Tour of Slovakia. Broken spoke in the front wheel with 20 kilometres to go and getting back on. I'm glad it wasn't a disc wheel then.
Yeah.
And he got on.
So that's like, I think it's important for people to know when you're critiquing discs, that's where you're coming from a lot of the time.
You do not win bike races because of the equipment, but you can certainly lose it. And we have seen that many times.
That's true. And you don't win bike races by stopping and slowing down, right?
To break is to admit defeat.
Yes.
Now, one of the things is the bike industry, let's face it, it is like any other industry, it's consumption driven in a lot of ways. I sort of resist that, being the bespoke type of builder that I am, but I do find the insane, fanatical need to reinvent something to create a new product for next year's sales brochure. I find that a bit
Or you could say that you're into consumerism, but you want your customer's meal to last a lifetime, like an everlasting
good
gobstopper.
value for your hard-earned
Yeah,
dollars.
yeah.
And no reason the product shouldn't look nice and have that emotion and reflected in the care and the consideration of the builder to the customer, to the clients, hard-earned dollars. But it must be functional and durable.
And-
many long miles, many
Yes.
enjoyable hours of adventures on the road.
So let's talk about through the details that you've done to consider the durability, and I mean the aesthetics are just fantastic. This, what would you call it? A burgundy or what?
It's candy apple red over gold.
Candy apple red
This is a
over
candy
gold.
apple clear. It's a base, what's called a clear over base system.
Joe Cosgrove's paint.
Yes, good old Joey Cosgrove's magic. That is the gold that is actually underneath the candy apple red.
Yep.
So you get that sparkle as the colour comes through and out. However, underneath that, this is Columbus HSS tubing, fillet brazed with silver. The brazing in that is this one's 55% content silver. Low temperature brazing. Not cheap.
Let's
It's
talk about
hundreds
for
of
the
dollars.
lay person who doesn't understand the difference between regular Joe brazing and what you're putting into your bicycle.
Well, I suppose 40 years of brazing expertise is one. This brazing, I use the much more expensive brazing rod. It's silver base with a 55% base of silver, and that gives you the low temperature, and that allows for less distortion of the tubes for the purity of the build. There's hundreds of dollars. There's $300 to $400 worth of silver brazing.
Wow, okay.
Some of it gets filed off.
So
and
I think
ends up on
people
the
will
floor.
understand the difference between 300 and let's say
Brass
your.
brazing, probably $20.
There you go.
Rods.
Wow. And if you mess it up, which you don't, obviously, but that's an expensive mistake.
It's high risk workmanship, in the sense that there's a lot of labour in there, and at the very end, you could ruin a week or 2 weeks' work.
Yes.
So you've got to work with care and consideration and calm. You can't just smash it out.
No.
That's why I work only by myself, one pair of hands, because I'm ultimately responsible for the outcome. I couldn't live with somebody else's hands on there. They will not live up to my expectations.
Yep.
I'm very self-critical of my own work.
Yep.
So this is fillet braze, all hand finished, using the silver. That's to ensure good durability and accurate build quality of the frame. Lots of little details. I always have reinforcement patches where the cable entries are, so there's no chance of a fatigue crack emanating in 10, 20 years' time. Stainless steel fittings wherever the contacts of the Di2 wire entries are. Flat discs there so they sit snugly to keep the moisture out. Stainless steel fittings, chain hangers. I blend and did a very internal Di2 routing there.
Mega neat.
Yeah, that runs through here around the bottom bracket shell up to the gear levers. A lot of finish work on the dropouts to reduce weight and also to give it a nice blended, broken, rounded appearance. It's just a smoother. And that's your reflection of workmanship. The bridges, handmade, with cutouts in there, brazed in there. It allows the bridge to be lower, to get it shorter and a longer distance to the axle, which helps rigidity of the frame, ride high and quality. This is a very stiff frame. This was I only bring customer bikes here, so that's a very rigid frame. He wants that. It's a bit too rigid, I think, for him, but he wants that.
Particularly with the carbon wheels as well. But
Yes.
the customer's always right?
Well, yes, but I explain the rationale
Yep.
and how I feel.
Oh, I think-
will not do what I don't think is.
They will be blown away, and I'm guessing they haven't even ridden it. Have they seen it yet?
They have not seen it in the flesh.
Wow. Well, they're going to get a treat. Daryl, always a pleasure.
Always.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.
Very first show you started.